steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, or the airwaves king. Shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, or the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping, like a heartbeat's call. He's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah.
Good morning to you all. Today is Thursday, August 27, 2026. I have a whole bunch of unrelated stuff I want to talk about. Well, some of it is going to be related, but I don't know. We're going to be all over the place today. I never really talked about Dolly Parton. She's dead. She died from the cancers. She was a beloved country music star. Her music was good. She sang a song called Jolene and a couple other songs. She also 1974, I Will Always Love You, and then Whitney Houston covered that song. And then that song became so popular with the Whitney Houston cover of I Will Always Love You by the Dolly Parton that Dolly Parton made $10 million in royalties from the Whitney Houston version of the 1974 classic I Will Always Love You. And then what Dolly Parton did was simply amazing. So at some point during today's program, I'm going to talk about not just the life and legacy of Dolly Parton, but holy smokes, did she do a lot of stuff for black people? And she didn't even really want a lot of credit for it. She did so many things. There was a whole literacy project that she was involved in, which actually had a positive impact on children here in Wisconsin. Oh, speaking of literacy and children here in Wisconsin. See, I told you we got a bunch of unrelated stuff going on today. The Forwards Together for Kids, sponsored by City Forward Collective. We're going to do an episode today, I believe at 11 o'clock. Xavier, did you get notification that we got a special guest coming in the studio? All right, we're going to talk about Teach for America and how representation matters, but it really matters in the classroom. And, you know, our children that are going to school really need to see teachers that look like them. While it may seem trivial to some of you, it is exceptionally important for young people and for students to see someone that they can actually culturally and racially relate to, because it automatically makes the information that that teacher is delivering to that child just a little bit more credible. And also, we have a major shortage of Black African American teachers. If you ask many of the children in the city, and I would encourage you to do so, what they want to do when they grow up, don't expect any reasonable answers. But one thing you probably will not hear is, I want to be a teacher. We need more teachers. We are very quick to tell people what fields they should go in. A lot of adults and middle-aged people, and some of you old people, you know, some of you geriatrics. I love you, geriatrics. I'm damn near one of you. but we'll look at our lives and we'll look back and think, wow, if I had a chance to do it all over again, I would have been a fill in the blank. I would have been a plumber. That, I guess, plumber's plum. I would have been an electrician, someone would have said, because, oh, they make so much money. And I think what we do is we tell young people, because part of our responsibility as older folk is to guide the young people into a proper path, because the hope is that the next generation does better than the previous. That is not happening right now. But I think a lot of us may look at our lives and say, oh, if I had a chance to do it all over again, I would have gotten into the trades. And we are very much encouraging young people to get into the trades. The amount of emails that I get and inbox messages that I get from people that are representing different spheres of the trade that always want to share either their job fairs or their apprenticeship programs, it's actually quite a lot. The problem is, if you want our young people or whoever, young adults, to get into the trades, we need people that can teach the trades, ladies and gentlemen. We need teachers that can teach the math, because I don't know why we have put trades employment and trades careers as, like, I don't want to say second tier, but we make it seem like it's easy. Oh, just go and get into the trades and you'll make $140,000 a year. No, the hell you won't, not if you can't do math. And looking at the statistics, and they're very consistent, certainly more consistent than the damn Marquette University Law School poll. Even though another one of those came out, I don't like the Marquette poll. I don't like it. I'm also not impressed by Marquette, which whenever I say that, it angers a lot of people. But what are they going to do? They went to Marquette. They can't fight. That's why they went to Marquette. I went to UWM. We'll kick anybody's ass. It's got David Crowley leading by 5 points. There's math involved in polling. There's math involved in sample sizes. There's math involved in how you sample different representative groups. There's math involved in counting voters and counting voter registration. But our young people don't know the math so very good. So why are we telling the young people to get involved in the trades when they don't know the math very good? You know, if you're an electrician and you don't know math very good, if you don't know the amperes, and if you don't know the wattages, and if you don't know the volts, you're going to get electrocuted. Like in the cartoons, you're going to touch two wires together. You didn't get the volts right, or the amps right, or the wattages right, and then you're going to be electrocuted, and then we're going to be able to see your bones. Like in the cartoons, when you get electrocuted, we can automatically see your bones. So we have to make sure we are doubling down on the basics. So we're going to have Michael Nguyen in the studio. He is the executive director of Teach for America Milwaukee. He's going to be joining us for our Forward Together for Kids segment at 11 o'clock. And I want you guys to certainly stick around and stay tuned for that, because I'm looking forward to that conversation. Because you know what I think? I think that some of you would be really good teachers. I, believe it or not, Sherwin Hughes, was on a track to be a college professor. I know that's very shocking to some of you. So when I was finishing my degree from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, there weren't very many high hopes professionally, or a lot of opportunities for someone getting a degree in the study of society. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in sociology. And so we were offered a couple of things. Now you got to keep in mind, this is better than a quarter century ago. At the time, believe it or not, there was a particular category of employment where you could literally make your own salary, because the demand was so high that they just wanted somebody who had some, like, a college degree of any kind, and they would take you in this field, and you literally could name your salary. You could make your own hours, which was very, very unusual for the late 1990s and the year 2000 for those kinds of jobs to exist. So we were offered all sorts of opportunities, because by the time you're in your 400 and 500 level classes in college, then job opportunities start just showing up. Here, sign up here if you want a paid internship doing this, or sign up here if you want a paid internship with this downtown Milwaukee corporation. I don't even know if they do that anymore. All of our internships were paid. If someone even would have suggested to us back then that internships were free and you get paid and experience, we would have laughed at you. I got an internship my last year at UW Milwaukee that paid me $15 an hour in 1998. Some people are still fighting for $15 an hour, and it's almost 2027. That is wholeheartedly disappointing because $15 an hour then, you was okay now. You had a couple little dollars to throw around. It was 20 hours a week, $15 an hour. And that nice little $320 every week, that hit me right where it needed to hit me. However, I digress. The job was technical writing. So that was the opportunities that were offered to us. The other one was if you have your bachelor's degree in sociology, all you would need was a minimum grade point average in your core sociology classes. You needed a 3.0 in your sociology classes, and then you would need 3 letters of recommendation from 3 of your sociology professors, and you could be admitted into the master's degree program, which sets you up to eventually become a professor at the university, or any university, but specifically they wanted to retain sociology graduates to teach sociology and related fields at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. If you followed that track, you wouldn't have to take the GRE. Do they still do the GRE, the graduate record exam, where if you want to go to grad school, are you familiar with that, Xavier? A long time ago, if you wanted to go to grad school, just like if you wanted to get admitted into the colleges and the universities, you have to take the ACT or you have to take the SAT. The GRE was a test that no matter what your field was, if you wanted to go to grad school, you had to take the GRE and then get a certain score. Obviously, the higher the score, the more scholarship opportunities that were available to you. But if you were a sociology student and you had at least a 3.0 in your core sociology classes and you got 3 letters of recommendation from professors, they would automatically admit you. And I started on that track. But then I got a job working for a member of Congress, and I was like, screw this! Screw you, UW Milwaukee, and your sociology professorship. Sometimes I think back, and I was like, damn, I'd be retired by now, probably. I probably would have went on a sabbatical and did a whole bunch of research, studying many tribes in India. Who knows where that world could have taken me. But instead, alas, I'm here with you. I have no regrets. Technical writing. I didn't really get to the details of that. Check this out. You guys familiar with what a technical writer is? I don't know what happened to them now. They've probably been replaced by AI. But in the late 1990s and the early 2000s, you could get a job being a technical writer, and the minimum salary that you would get was $100,000. $100,000 if you don't have any dependents and you're a single person is a decent amount of money right now. I would say that's if you're a single person making $100,000, you're okay in Milwaukee. You can have your little nice car. You probably can buy a house, take you a couple few vacations. You can afford to go out to eat to a couple few nice restaurants. You can afford to go to shows and see live music. $100,000 is nice. You know, it'll get you there. It'll move the needle a little bit, pay your little student loans back, have a little money left over to spare. If you make $100,000 in the year 2026, $100,000 in 1998, I would be hanging out at the Playboy Mansion just throwing dollar bills at the Playmates, making $100,000 back then. Money went way further back then. But a technical writer is someone who writes instruction manuals. So you know if you get like a new device, a new computer, some furniture that you have to put together. Technical writers are the people that back in the day would they would send you the product, right? And then you would sort out how you put the product together, and then you would write up the manual. And then that manual would get printed and reprinted and included in the boxes of whatever it was that needed to be assembled. There were so few people that wanted to be technical writers that they were just going around to college campuses, whoever these companies were. Because if you have a furniture company and you make the ready to assemble furniture, that company didn't also write the instruction manual on how you put it together. They would contract out for it. So that was a job that I considered. But then I thought that probably sucks because I would not know how to explain the intricate details of how you put certain things together. Because here's what I do. I'm one of these kind of people. I buy something that needs a little bit of assembly. First of all, I don't like to assemble stuff because I just don't, but whatever. I don't look at the instruction manual. I lay out all the pieces and I intuitively just start to assemble it. I only refer to the instruction manual when I get stumped. If I can't figure it out, then I'll revert to the instruction manual. And most of the time, I am able to assemble things relatively securely without needing the instruction manual, because most things I may purchase that need to be assembled are fairly straightforward. I will say this. Do not ask me to help assemble your baby's crib, because I have been asked to help people assemble a crib before. Oh, I got it. Don't worry about it. Oh, go take care of whatever else you have to do around the house. Good old Uncle Sherwin is going to take care of assembling the crib. I wouldn't put a damn baby anywhere near a crib I assemble. I had 17 parts left over, bolts, nuts, screws. It was rickety. I just wouldn't trust myself to put together a crib. I said all that to say this. The Jehovahs are coming to town. Talked about that yesterday. They're having their international convention here. There's a story that appears in today's newspaper because apparently this is a very big deal. Not quite as big a deal as Dolly Parton dying, but the Jehovah's having their international convention in Milwaukee it's something significant. And a good section of central downtown streets are going to be closed for the duration of the convention. Yesterday's program, I talked a little bit about the Jehovah's. They're an interesting sort, not a very large congregation, a very strict, specific type of Christian. They've got 120,000 different congregations all over the world, but only 9.2 million members worldwide. So not a huge congregation, but like anyone else, we welcome you here to the city of Milwaukee. But then there's something that they're doing that I thought it was kind of cute when I talked about it yesterday, but then I had a chance to let it incubate a little bit, and now I'm offended at this thing that the Jehovah's are doing ahead of their convention. So I remarked, because they got here on Wednesday, some of them did. There's some that are here ahead of the convention in order to prepare for the convention, which is, in fact, this weekend. And the article that appears in today's Journal Sentinel, I'd imagine the Journal and other local news media outlets are going to cover the Jehovah's the entire time they're here. Lucky us. If I was a door, I wouldn't feel safe because you're going to get knocked. Why are thousands of volunteers scrubbing downtown Milwaukee clean? They're literally going around and they're like cleaning the city. They're cleaning downtown. Downtown is one of the cleanest parts of the city of Milwaukee. Every now and again, you might find a little bit of debris. You might find a little potato chip bag here every so often. You may find a backwoods blunt wrapper. Maybe every so often you might. Is our city not clean enough for you? Who do you think you are? You don't got to come here and clean. We clean the city. We got street sweepers. You want to clean, come back in the springtime when Tory Lowe does his cleanup. We'll give you something to clean up. You ain't got to get here early and clean. They're basically saying, ew, Milwaukee, you dirty heathens. We got to come several days ahead of our international convention because we don't like the way you keep your house. I witnessed a fight once between a wife and a mother-in-law. It was the most fierce thing I've ever seen in my entire life. You know what I should do? I should take a break, come back and tell you about this story, because let me tell you something. I feel like that scorned wife. Sherwin is going to tell you how he, with the Jehovah's getting here ahead of the convention to make sure the city is clean enough to have their convention here. I'm offended by that. What, Milwaukee is not clean enough for you? Should have tried Chicago if you don't think that we're clean enough. Should have tried Detroit. We're very clean. We're spotless here. We smell like ivory soap here in Milwaukee. Well, some of us don't, but I'm offended. I'm so offended that I have a Halloween costume idea and it does involve a Jehovah's Witness. So here's what I need. And I'm going to take a break. I always say I'm going to take a break and then I don't. I need a woman between the ages of preferably 35 and 55 to be the part 2 of my 2-part Halloween costume. So if there are any ladies between the ages of 35 and 55, we can go thin build, we can go medium build, we can even go heavy set. But I need a woman between the ages of 35 and 55 who is available the entire Halloween weekend because my costume involves 2 parts, 1 part me, 1 part you, and we're going to clean up. We're going to go to every goddamn Halloween contest in this city, and we're going to make sure that we enter all the ones with a cash prize, and we're going to get rich. But I need a woman between the ages of 35 and 55. Don't be 57 years old. You're too old. And don't show me no fake ID. Don't be 62 years old and show me a fake saying you're 48.
Lady B, Linda, here's your chance.
Hold on. No, you need to relax. No. No wolves of the book of variety, sir. None of those.
Oh, I thought they were very nice looking women.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't. First of all, I don't objectify women. All women are.
Yeah, send your photos in, ladies.
All women are. Ladies, quick question. Now I really got to take a break. I'm way over time. Do y'all nag each other or just us? So while you think about that, also by the way, eggs are not dairy. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin.
Member at ECU.com. Insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility required.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
This is a journey.
If you ever want to know what 1991 sounds like, this.
Would you join me, please, in welcoming
Oh, take me back. The world is so crazy now. So here is the biggest fight that I have ever witnessed between a mother-in-law and a wife. Now, this is traditional woman stuff, traditional wife stuff. This is trad wife stuff. So a lot of y'all are not going to be able to relate to this because, you know, expecting a traditional wife is insane nowadays because how dare you, right? The mother-in-law, the couple just had a baby fairly recently. And so the mother-in-law was coming over to help with the baby. Sometimes that's what mother-in-laws do. They help with things around the house because, you know, new parents, especially if it's their first child, can be very overwhelmed and it can be very stressful. In fact, it can be so stressful, we come to find out, that, you know, women can be so overwhelmed by the postpartum that they may murder their kids. So we want to make sure that the mothers are getting all the help they need. Xavier, you would like to add something to the discussion?
Yeah, the judge on that case today, he told the jury to go in to their decision making with an open mind about the wife or the murderer or whatever.
Unbelievable that the judge is tainting the jury like that.
Yes. Stood in front of him, gave a speech and everything. Go into it with an open mind.
It's either she ain't going to get acquitted. It's going to be either a hung jury or solidly guilty. There's going to be somebody on that jury that's going to be like, nah, she killed her kids. She sent the husband to go run errands and made sure the errands would take long enough so she had time to kill her kids. So, anyways, you got to make sure that the women are not overwhelmed. And so the mother-in-law comes over to be helpful, right? There's always a very unusual, even if people don't want to admit it, relationship between the wife and the mother-in-law, a lot of times because mamas don't think any woman is good enough for her boy, right? There's always a weird kind of tension. However, I digress. The mother-in-law comes over, doesn't even really say hello to anybody, just walks in the house like it's her house, because sometimes mother-in-laws can feel a heavy sense of ownership over anything that their son is involved in, right? It's her son's house, even though it's her son and his wife's house. The mother-in-law, she walks in, front door is open. What does she start doing? Immediately starts cleaning up in the kitchen, start putting stuff away in the kitchen. And the mother-in-law, or I'm sorry, the wife, is just like, yo, what are you? And then the argument ensues because it was assumed that the wife doesn't keep a clean enough house. So the mother-in-law starts to clean anyway, even though the house, and I was there. I was like, this is not bad. I had no business being there because I certainly wasn't going to help with the baby because no thanks. But then it was, hey, what are you doing? Oh no, this over here is disgusting. And who left the kitchen like this? And now these two women are arguing. This is what I feel like. I feel like that overwhelmed wife who's trying to keep it all together and keep the house straight, and you got a new baby, and of course you got to deal with your spouse and everything else that life brings with it. And then to see someone essentially degrade you and demean how clean you keep your house is very, very offensive. These Jehovah's Witnesses are coming to Milwaukee ahead of their convention this weekend, which is going to block off about half of downtown. You ain't going to be able to get to the places you need to get to. And thankfully, it's over a weekend because the area surrounding the 3rd Street Market Hall, that's going to be blocked off. Joe Laffenberg was born and raised in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, to a family that has practiced the Jehovah's Witness faith for generations, and community service is deeply rooted in his life. He has cleaned windows prior to a convention in Green Bay. He's provided public ministry to neighbors in Fond du Lac. On Wednesday morning, August 26th, Laffenberg, age 46, was one of 10 volunteers sweeping and picking up trash inside the 330 West Wells Street parking garage ahead of the religious group's 2026 International Convention at the Baird Center this weekend from August 28th through August 30th. Quote, my family and I saw all that were coming to Milwaukee and thought, what a nice opportunity to clean and give Jehovah's Witnesses the best possible view of the city. Hold on, dog. What you mean the best possible view of the city? Why don't you go to the top of the Pfister? Go to Blue on the 23rd floor. There's a beautiful view of the city. In fact, Milwaukee's skyline is really starting to take shape. You know how I describe Milwaukee's skyline? Because if you are in one of the many places in this city where you can get a good view, Milwaukee's very beautiful. It's like we're getting breasts. Like our skyline is hitting puberty. If you come across the Home Bridge, and it's a beautiful, picturesque view from ear to ear. If you're maybe at Blue, it's really nice. If you're out on a boat, I highly encourage you to get on a boat. I hope you have a friend with a boat, because a friend with a boat is a very good friend indeed. And go out, I don't know, about a half a mile offshore and just look at how beautiful and majestic Milwaukee's skyline is. And if you look to the north, you'll see a St. Mary's Hospital, this beautiful white building, and it's built on a bluff. St. Mary's Hospital. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to die. If you have to, no, I'm saying if you need to die somewhere that's very pleasant and quiet, I highly recommend St. Mary's Hospital is where you should go and die. And you can see it as a part of the Milwaukee skyline as it kind of fills out the enclave known as Milwaukee's East Side. It's beautiful. I think this is a very impressive city. I think Milwaukee punches way above its weight. You know what I did yesterday? I went to one of my favorite restaurants. Not going to tell you which one it is. I don't need to see any of you there. Let me tell you why it's one of my favorite restaurants, because for some reason, no one goes there for lunch. People go there on the weekends. People go there for brunch on Sundays. They got a very nice Sunday fun day. They sometimes have live music. People go for happy hour, but they don't ever go for lunch. And sometimes when I have lunch, I don't want to see people. The only people I want to see is my server. So I went to my favorite little spot, and I was I felt real good yesterday. I felt real motivated and optimistic. And then I went to my favorite park, Lakeshore State Park. They're actually having an event this weekend. So if you don't want to be bothered with the Jehovah's, or if you don't want to help the Jehovah's pick up much trash around the city, which I find very embarrassing, y'all ain't even got here yet. You haven't, you're going to send some people just ahead of time to clean up the city? That's very offensive. We keep a very clean city. I feel like that wife whose mother-in-law just walks in the house and just starts cleaning up, basically saying, oh, you don't keep a clean enough house. We need to clean it ourselves. But also, don't men get accused of this too? If a woman says, hey, honey, can you help around the house? Can you clean up a little bit? And men, I think men do a great job of cleaning. We get it done. We're efficient when we clean. But if we don't clean to the standard of a woman, then she thinks that it's weaponized incompetence. Y'all got to chill with that. Man might be loading or unloading the dishwasher, but if he's not loading or unloading the dishwasher the way the woman would do it, what does she do? So just stop. I'll just stop putting the dishes away. I'll do it. I can't stand. That's why we don't want to marry y'all. It's like the only way, and that's an OCD thing, I think. Some women think that the only way to do something is the way that they do it, and if it's done slightly differently, it gives them anxiety. Honey, you need medication. You should be happy that we even want to help around the house. Here's the other thing I come to find out. Y'all gonna get mad at me today. Might as well. I'm used to it. Being a stay-at-home parent is not hard. Go pour concrete and go cut bricks 80 hours a week and tell me which job you'd rather have. I'd love to be a stay-at-home daddy. I'd make all the meals. I'd do all the laundry. Everything would be, put all the dishes away. The house would be clean. And then I'd take a nap. And me and the babies will read stories. And we'll have snack time. You know, put little goldfish crackers in a little plastic baggie. Oh, it's so hard. Try dealing with a boss that's racist 40 hours a week. All right, I'm going to take a break. Come back. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.org. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
On Wednesday morning, August 26th, Joe Laffenberg, age 46, was one of 10 volunteers sweeping and picking up trash inside the 330 West Wells parking street garage. West Wells Street parking garage. Ahead of the religious group's 2026 International Convention is going to be held at the Baird Center this weekend from August 28th through August 30th. And I want to let you guys know about the street closures. I'll give you those streets in just a moment. Joe goes on to say, my family and I saw that all were coming to Milwaukee and thought, what a nice opportunity to clean the city, to give Jehovah's Witnesses the best view of the city, Laffenberg said. It's priceless, a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and it hasn't even started yet. Laffenberg was among hundreds of other volunteers wearing blue vests that began a, quote, general cleanup on August 26th, targeting 17 parking lots near the convention center. The cleanup effort, Laffenberg said, is a major part of the volunteer-based religious group's faith, serving as an appreciation to the convention's host city, Milwaukee. They're here at the market hall. You gonna see them. Tell you what, Jehovah's. Come knock on my door. I'll let you in. Show you where the vacuum is. The broom. what do you call the thing? The thing that you sweep. You got a broom, and then you have the thing that you sweep the dust into a dustpan. There you go. Earlier this week, volunteers, good God, pressure washed the walls and the streets near the Baird Center. It's all spotless over there. Come on, y'all. Listen, don't y'all have, I guess you can't really do a lot of door knocking downtown because that's a lot of apartments and condos, and they're not buzzing you in.
I will.
I know you will. What if it's a bunch of dudes, though? Because I know you want to try and turn out a Jehovah's woman.
A bunch of guys coming into my house?
Would you let them in? No, you wouldn't let the guys in. You just want the girls to come in.
Yeah.
I know this much because I know. Well, I told you guys about Scorpio. She left the faith. There's something about the repression, like sexual repression from being in one of these really, really super duper strict religions that when people break away from it, and it's a tremendous sacrifice, and I cannot overstate this. If you are able to leave the Jehovah's faith, you're sacrificing everything you've ever known. You're sacrificing your family, like your mother and father. They can't talk to you anymore. Your siblings, your uncles, your aunts, your entire community basically abandons you. It's really horrible. You're out there in the world completely on your own. But then when people decide that's what they want to do and they take that step, the freedom, you're reborn again because you're not constrained by the confines of this very, very strict interpretation of the Bible. And they explore the world through brand new eyes. And I was fortunate enough to meet Scorpio. Like, she had been out for a couple of years, but still a lot of things were new. Like, her husband wouldn't let her do nothing. She had babies at 19. She couldn't do anything. But then when she finally left sometime in her late 30s and she was able to explore, I caught her at the right time.
Sounds like fun to me.
I asked her if she had ever been to, because I have a list of restaurants that are must-go-tos in Milwaukee, and I asked her if she had ever been. It's like 15 that you got to go. Some are nice, some are, kind of average, some are just authentically Milwaukee. She hadn't been to any of them. I was like, oh, honey, we got to go eat. And how appreciative she was that I took her to one of these restaurants. It was amazing. And then she started to share with me how difficult the life actually was, because you can't be a free thinker. You can't be an independent thinker. You can't be a critical thinker and still adhere to some of the most strict pieces of that religion, especially when it comes to your role as a wife. I think it's very healthy for every relationship, for every marriage, for the wife to cuss the husband out every now and again. Just not a lot. Like, if he comes home with glitter on him, then, you know what I mean? Then, of course, ladies, express yourself. But she just had to keep everything in. And then there's another friend of mine who I just found out fairly recently that he left the life. I didn't know that he was ever a Jehovah, and that's where he came from. And then a mutual friend was like, oh, Sherwin, so-and-so used to be a Jehovah. I was like, word? You would have never guessed it. And a lot of you know who this person is. He's kind of Milwaukee famous, whatever the hell that means. I'm not sure what Milwaukee famous even really means. Speaking of Milwaukee famous, there is yet another story about the backlash to the Garage, the bar on Brady and Arlington. And there is a news story where one of the popular Milwaukee artists, Ishmael Ali, known as Ishdar. He's a local Milwaukee artist, and on the list of 36 artists that the Garage no longer wants played as a part of DJ's set list, it said explicitly no Milwaukee artists. Well, local news affiliate CBS 58 did an interview with Ishdar. Ishmael Ali is his name. Ishdar is his rap hip-hop name, I suppose. And I want to play a little taste. We're not going to do it right now. I'm going to take a break, come back, and we'll play it on the other side. And I want to use it as an example. So I don't know what I know Ishtar is like the goddess, like a female goddess of femininity and fertility. Why a black man would, but it's not, his name is Ishtar. But maybe that's a play on Ishtar, because I never understand some of the names that people pick for themselves. Like Charlemagne the God, who I hate because he is a gossip columnist that needs to get his face punched in. I hate people like that. I hate people that have the opportunity to provide good information to a large audience, and all he does is he gossips like a teenage girl. Somebody needs to, and he's almost gotten his ass kicked a few times. But Charlemagne, you know who Charlemagne is? Charlemagne is the father of modern Europe, who lived in the year 800. Why would your black ass name yourself after the father of modern Europe? I want to punch Charlemagne in the face just because of that. And while I'm punching faces, Roland Martin can get some too. I guess Roland Martin got caught cheating recently. Got caught wearing some leopard print underwear.
I like Roland Martin.
Man, I wish he would come back to Milwaukee. I hope he shows up with the Jehovah's. It's gonna be me and him. If I see Roland Martin, it's gonna be some furniture moving in this motherfucker.
You said they caught him with some leather panties?
He's wearing some leopard skin underwear.
Who cares?
But he was not with his wife.
So?
No, you ain't supposed to cheat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you ain't. But he always preaches this holier than thou stuff. Like, come on, dog. All the people that preach the whole, like, I know damn well that I'm not ever going to preach holier than thou because I'm sinnier than thou. I sin.
I like the sin.
Oh, my God. Ain't nothing like it.
Feels good.
Because I don't want to have to wait. Like, I don't want to die to get my heaven. Why everybody else got to get their heaven? Everybody else gets their heaven on earth.
You believe in heaven?
Yeah, because I can create it right here on earth.
Yeah. I think when we die, it just goes to black.
I believe in many things. I think that religions, there's something in every world religion that has a premise that is worth embracing for humanity to be better and to realize its full potential. Like the Jews have some good things, and the Christians have some good things, and the Muslims have some good things. Bismillah. Inshallah. If God wills it. What'd you say, Xavier?
I said I love halal food.
What's the difference? It's just blessed, isn't it? It's not. Is it prepared?
It's the way they raise the cows and stuff like that. You know, it's not like brutal. You know, and it's better quality meat.
Whatever. I don't care how my cow was raised. I just want it to look right when it's on my plate. Oh, by the way, eggs are not dairy. Why are y'all arguing with me about that? Eggs are not, because they put eggs in the dairy section does not mean that eggs are dairy. Dairy are products that come from cows' milk. Chickens lay eggs. A chicken is not a cow. Malcolm X said, if a cat has babies in the oven, are they biscuits or kittens? Just because you put eggs in the dairy section doesn't mean that I'm over here arguing with somebody. Sure, yes, eggs, yes, they are dairy. You went to NPS, didn't you, buddy? How you know? It's obvious. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM is going to come back, and when we come back, we're going to play you a little bit of an interview from one of the Milwaukee rappers whose music is not allowed to be played at the garage. And once you
after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Mao the Elephant says, Sherwin, I want you in a boxing match against Roland. I do too. Gladly. Set it up. I'll promote it here on 101.7 The Truth. We'll put it on the Poly Market. put it on the betting sites. I got that ass. His head is so big, it's such an easy target. You know what I mean? Like, he probably has a strong chin, though. He's got to have a strong chin to hold up all that head.
He can't be that bad. You don't like him that much?
He came here and he disrespected the etiquette that exists. If you have your own platform and you go on somebody else's platform, there's unspoken rules of how you conduct yourself. And I observe those rules. Every now and again, Sherwin will appear on somebody else's radio show. I've stopped in the morning show with Homer and Bailey. In fact, all of the shows that we've ever had here at 101.7 The Truth, at some point in time, I've always stopped in. Even though I've had my own show on different radio stations for a very, very long time, if I am a guest on somebody else's show, it's their show. I'm a passenger. I'm second fiddle. I speak when I'm spoken to. I keep my answers truncated and succinct. Roland Martin's big head ass got on my microphone and thought it was his show. And I'm giving him the visual cues. I'm like, hey, man, bring it back. Land the plane, Roland, land the plane. And then another thing. And then on my show, I could feel it was such a sweet daydream of my hands tightening around that fat ass neck of his. I just could, and I drifted off into a place of bliss. It was so bad. And he was here because I guess he was doing some, I don't know, some event promoting Kamala Harris, which clearly didn't work because Kamala lost. Can you play the video clip, the little brief interview of Milwaukee rapper Ishtar when he had his little conversation with CBS 58 regarding the garage and him being an artist that is no longer being played there?
A popular Brady Street bar could temporarily close after a no playlist sparked backlash from local artists. Andy Bernhardt has the story and reaction.
You can see it behind me. The garage remains closed and has been for several days after a list sparked controversy for banning certain artists.
You might catch us locals mobbing at your corner store.
Ishmael Ali's passion is his music, something he loves to share with the Milwaukee community. So when Ishmael was at one of his favorite bars, the Garage on Brady Street, he was shocked and disturbed at what he found.
And I look down and I just see the duct tape and the list and I'm like, oh, this is real.
He says the list at the DJ booth had several black artists listed on a no playlist, including a note saying no Milwaukee rap, bolded in all caps.
I feel like a slap in the face to us. Like I said, being black myself, being an artist, it was kind of like I don't know if it was a do not enter sign or like it kind of looked just standoffish to us.
The Garage responded on social media saying they spoke with the employee who issued the list, which was not approved by ownership, saying it was not acceptable. The bar says its intention was to eliminate music with lyrics referencing violence or guns, but a list of artists was the wrong approach.
At this time, we need to, be together. I feel like from the establishments to the artists, it's just creating a better environment for all of us.
Sources tell CBS 58 News the owners of the bar sent out a message to employees saying the bar will be closed for 2 weeks with compensation. CBS 58 did reach out to the Garage for more information on the closure and plans moving forward, but did not receive a response yet. In Milwaukee, Andy Bernhardt, CBS 58 News.
To you.
Good morning, Frankie. Thank you
Little
for the
brief interview. Here's what.
Yeah, absolutely. I got you. I got you covered.
He could not use profanity. Like, dude, here's an opportunity for you to represent yourself well and to push back on this venue that is not playing your music because of its vulgarity, and you can't not cuss with a CBS 58 local news camera in front of your face. And shout out to DJ Brother Z. He is in the YouTube chat. And before we play the clip, because I gave a little preface to the clip, Zach said, no Ishtar slander will be tolerated. Zach, you were the biggest stickler for profanity on terrestrial media that I've ever met in my entire life. Like, Al is currently banned for a profanity that Al didn't even say because it sounded like Al said a profanity. And this local Milwaukee rapper could not choose any other word than sugar honey iced tea. Well, and they had to bleep it out, and that makes him look bad. Now, I also know that the standard is probably low because someone who, is a local artist or a rapper or whatever probably does not do a lot of media, and obviously for good reason. But I just think it was a poor presentation because when you think about it, it is unfair to local artists. If you look at it from their perspective, I think in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to business and business ownership, they have the full right to decide what does and does not get played and who does and does not get booked at their venues. But the fact that he used profanity on a local media interview, it kind of proves the point. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 2.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The world can be a lonely place when you're just a name without a face. You can disappear without a trace and be gone.
And I've been jamming like this since 06 with kicks that barely lasted a day.
Welcome to hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. How many jobs do you all have? We asked a question via the YouTube poll because I'm curious. We have inquisitive temperaments around here. Oh, looks like a bunch of you have already voted. Do you currently have more than one job? 41% of you do. Is that because your second job, your second occupation it's a hobby, it's a love of yours, it's a passion where you can't do it full time because it might not be able to pay your bills just yet, and maybe you're working toward that end? Or do you work a second job because your first and primary occupation does not pay you enough? Wallet Hub did a study and a survey of many metro areas in the United States, and it found that Wisconsin residents are working more than one job, even more and at a higher rate than some other states. So I am very curious. Do you all have more than one job? When I think about it, let me see. Kind of, no, because when I leave here, I'm essentially done. There's obviously other things I can task myself with. There's some other professional endeavors I may involve myself with, but I don't go to another place and punch another clock. I don't get another hourly wage by working somewhere else. Now, there's a couple other little few projects that I might be asked to be a part of, but they are very, very optional. For the most part, this is my only job, but I do it damn near full time. It takes a lot to prepare. Even when I suppose I do have a second job, but I don't get paid for it. Every so often I'll do a YouTube broadcast. Did one last night. Those are fun, though. And I don't know, maybe one day it produces some revenue, but I don't do it in hopes that it will replace either this professional endeavor or some of the other professional endeavors that I may be involved in. I have been the executive director of a political action committee for 11 years, but that only gets activated every so often. We are not as involved in politics and in some of the smaller races like we once were. We got to be really, really invested in a race, or the outcome of that race, I should say, before we get involved. So I wouldn't necessarily call that a second job, but come to find out, par for the course, 41%, or at least 41% of the people that participate in this program do have another job, and didn't used to be like that. In fact, the shift of the economy in the last, probably 60 years now, you didn't even have to have two people in the same household working. Just the father, just the dad. would probably have a manufacturing job, an assembly line job, a production job, and that could be enough for the entire family. You could afford a home. You could afford at least one, maybe even two cars. You could take a little vacation every now and again. And the retirement benefits were fantastic. You retire after 30 years, you have a pension and health insurance for the rest of your life. I'm not sure if there are many endeavors that even exist. I tell you what, if I meet a sugar mama, I'd sign off on y'all, I think. I'd be like, sorry, guys. Sugar mama don't want me working no more. She wants me at the house. It's been real. Peace. Maybe sugar mama will allow me to do YouTube, but if I was a kept man, ain't nothing wrong with that. Xavier, would you be a kept man if a woman, she's got the money, she's got all the money, all your dreams could come true, you could have whatever you want, go on vacation, buy all the cars you want, money up the wazoo. Maybe she inherited the money, maybe she comes from old money, maybe she comes from new money, or maybe she did the right thing. She married a fella, he was rich, she divorced him, now she got half, and she don't want to be all lonely with all that money. And she said, Xavier, I want you to be my boyfriend or something, and you don't have to work anymore. You don't got to go to weddings no more and take photography. You don't have to produce stupid Sherwin show no more. She said, you need to stay home.
Take it right away.
Yes, exactly.
As long as I have an allowance so I can put some money away for a rainy day.
She may not like that, but here's what you would probably have to do. Like, there'd be an account where you can just dip in, you know what I mean? And then you say, oh, hey, honey, I'm going to go out with the guys, and we're just going to go and have dinner. And I like to take my friends out to dinner. She'd be like, oh, go ahead. The dinner might only cost $175, but you take $1,000. You know what I mean?
Like a plan to me.
And then you spend $175, and then the other $825, you put that away. And then you say, oh, hey, honey, I want to go visit my parents out of state, and the trip is probably going to cost like $4,000. You got that flight cheap. And the hotel is going to be cheap, too. The whole trip only costs $750, but you're going to tell, oh, it's going to be about $4,000. And then you put a little piece of that $4,000 away. That's how you do it. Then over time, you're like, it's not working out. That's what you tell her. Ain't that something that you're the sugar mama and you get broken up with? Woof.
Happens all the time.
I know it does. I know it. Sugar daddies get broken up with, too. But the sugar daddy situation may be a little bit different. But here's the thing. All right, so if you are a sugar baby, so the recipient of the sugar, okay, and you're a fella, so you have a sugar mama, you're going to have to do stuff every now and again. You may not have to do it every day, buddy, but you're going to have to do stuff every now and again. You're going to have to earn your keep. You know
yeah, I have
mean?
a few women that I coach up on that. So, yes.
But what you mean? Hold on. What do you mean you coach?
Well, there's women that are sugar babies that have sugar daddies. And, I have a few friends that I give them advice to extract the most amount of money from the men.
Bro, you ain't right.
Why?
Because you're helping them, right? You're helping them extract more money. Do they reward you for the advice that you give them? Because your advice should turn into more profit for them. Do they reward you?
Oh, yes. I've generous friends.
See, that means you're a pimp.
No.
Dog, yes, you are. You're pimping. And the sugar daddy is the John. Oh, my God, my producer is pimping.
I'm not even sleeping with the women.
Now, hold on. You don't got to be sleeping with them to pimp. Some of the best pimps never sleep with their colleagues. The stuff you find out. I'm over here being produced by a pimp. Well, they said it ain't easy. Producer by day, pimping by night. If you are helping women that's what pimps do. Boy, now we got DJ on the line.
Yeah.
It's a perfect time for her to call.
Some funny stories to tell you about that kind of stuff, though.
About pimping?
Not pimping, just
the game is to be sold,
women.
Sir, not told.
Just advising women, just some of the sugar daddies finding out that they're the John. It's good stuff.
Hold on, you called him a John?
Well, you just called him the John.
I didn't. No. I didn't use that word, John. So you're even using the lingo.
Oh well.
How long you been pimping?
I'm advising women.
You're trafficking in men, basically.
Yeah, I just, sometimes women need advice, and, I just help them out with it.
Hi, DJ. How are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just found out that my producer does a little part-time pimping.
Yeah, I heard. It sounds sounds like he might be running a mentorship program. I don't know.
Oh, so y'all have all sorts of creative names for. Back in my day, it was just called pimping. But all right, wait a minute. No.
Mentorship.
The question was, how many people have a second job? And, is someone's first job or their primary job, is it not enough? Or do people have a second job because it's like a hobby, something like to do for fun? And as we were on that topic, I come to find out that it looks like my producer does have a second job. He's not just a photographer. Oh, no. He does a little part-time pimping as well. What about you, DJ? Do you have any secondary employment options?
Not at the moment. I used to have too many, so I had to chill out. I was doing too much, but I feel like I maybe missed a conversation around the bar.
Oh, bring it up.
Is there a space for that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So, it's quite, it's just so many things to consider. I was listening to your earlier segment about the convention and how that particular denomination can be strict in terms of how expectations are of how you should behave. And it made me think about how a bar could expect, let me just reiterate, bar is expecting for there not to be profane language that's coming from the music, and yet your patrons are in fact using profane language as they enter and exit. Are you policing their conversations? Are you policing their clothing? Are you policing what exactly does it mean to have a social institution then restrict music that has profane language in it, and then expect for that to create some sort of change? We do know that Brady Street has had a number of issues, and in fact, a lot of those issues have not always been from their Black patrons. We can talk about the numerous amount of drunk driving instances that occur on Brady Street. We can talk about the fights that occur in bars that that Black patrons don't frequent, nor do they play Black music. And I can think about this space historically having quotas. So what a lot of people don't know is that those bars in those areas, I don't know if they still have them, but they have quotas where they can only play a certain amount of hip hop, which is why they mix them with other genres of music. Most of the time it's like EDM or some kind of house music to minimize the hip hop. And so we should consider how often or how frequently we will patronize those businesses. Because this has always been a thing, from that to their dress codes that restrict things that we wear. So if you don't want our business, you should not play our music at all. Don't play our music. Do not expect our money. And then the last thing I'll say is that I just want to kind of touch on Ishtar's swearing on TV. Frankly, I don't have an issue with that because it is unrealistic for us to expect for people to not use profane language. It is not an example or a representation of his intellectual capacity. I actually know him personally and have been a longtime friend with him. And he is a very intelligent individual. And I know white folks that cuss on TV that are in different positions. It is not a reflection of his intellectual capacity or his character. And so I think we need to be mindful of that and create space for people to be their own person.
Thank you, DJ.
That's it.
Very articulate and eloquent. And thank you for not cussing.
can let one go if you need me.
No,
to, 'cause other people can.
Don't do that. You did a good job. Thank you. All right, DJ. Have a nice day. All right, then, DJ. Couple of things. She's very good, by the way. I like her delivery. I don't necessarily agree with most of what she said, and let me tell you why. If patrons use profanity, that should not be the excuse nor the reason why the owner of an establishment should play music that also features profanity or obscene lyrics. Let me tell you why. Because the owner of the establishment that has a lot more responsibility than just the patrons that they serve. The owner of the establishment can control what music gets played because they curate the environment and the atmosphere of the establishment in which they are licensed to operate. You can't control the language of your customers, but to say because the customers use profanity, we're going to play songs or sanction songs where women are hoes and bees and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the owner of the establishment, for some reason, we believe that when something seems like it appears like it could be pro-black or favors black people, black folks don't have to go to every place that plays hip-hop. Why do we think that we have some kind of ownership? Sometimes white folks want to play hip-hop music out in Elkhorn. Does that mean, that's the black club now because they play hip-hop? We arbitrarily welcome ourselves in spaces in which we were never invited and then get angry and upset when the most egregious elements of our culture begin to bubble to the surface, and then they decide that they don't want us anymore. We assume ownership because they are playing our music, that this is our spot and our place, and then we get these rude awakenings, and that is what this younger generation does not understand about white supremacy and about racism. They will tolerate you until they do not, and they don't have to give you any warning when the tolerance runs out. This is not acceptance, ladies and gentlemen. This is simply tolerance. And so I appreciate DJ's call, and she's always welcome to call in because I just love hearing from her. But also, I was reading in the comments, and Ishtar, thank you, Ishtar, for being in the comments. He got a little mad at me. And I took issue with, because Zach is in the comments too, and Zach is the biggest stickler for profanity I've ever met in my entire life. Zach has ended calls that I was on because he thought that somebody said something that was vulgar. Zach has ended telephone calls that I was on doing my show when Zach wasn't even the producer, right? So Zach has got a particular feeling about profanity over terrestrial airwaves too, and it's been well documented, and I don't think that Zach would ever deny that. But when you are trying to prove a point, sometimes it is best to use alternative vocabulary, because what you don't want to do in these rare moments when you have an opportunity to plead your case in front of a potentially sympathetic audience, which a broadcast media audience very well could be, depending upon how you carry yourself and how you deliver yourself. But where I think they sold you short, Ishtar, if you're still in the chat, is when they told you that you could cuss, they set you up to look like someone who does not have a big vocabulary. They caught you. I know how we operate. Media people are sinister and evil, and we can influence stuff that people don't even know that we're trying to influence. So when they say, no, you can use profanity, because I'm sure that interview was much longer than the clip that they played. And there's probably a whole bunch of pieces, Ishtar, that they could have played where you didn't use the sugar, honey, iced tea word, but they played that on purpose and intentionally. They did that on purpose. Now, that's one part of it. The other part is, because a place plays hip hop and it's a gathering place for African Americans who like that genre of music, does not mean that we are always going to be welcome there. And then I would argue is, if there's a place like that, and there's probably a bunch in the city where they play hip hop and black people feel comfortable and feel welcome there, do they have any black people on staff? I mean, other than like bartenders, are there any black people in management? Are there people that work or own that whatever that establishment is, that have decision-making ability? If the answer is no, then they can shut it down whenever they want. Here's the thing about the hi-hat in the garage, because these places are connected. They were in existence long before black folks found any value in going there. And so when you go into a business that has been around for 35 or 40 years, you have to keep in mind that they had a customer and a client base before black folks showed up. Now, what a lot of businesses will do is they try and move with the times. If there's a growing African-American population in Milwaukee, and if that growing population has more disposable income, of course they're going to play our music because they want your wallet, but they don't want anything else. They don't want the crime. They don't want the trouble. They don't want the disorderly conduct. They don't want any of that. They want you to come in, buy those overpriced drinks, because we'll pay a lot of money for drinks. That's the thing about black folks. When we go out, we'll let you rip us off. You go to a black club, cover charge can be an unlimited amount of money, and we'll pay it. In fact, you go to a black club, you can have two separate lines. One is a $50 line. One is a $100 line. That's a trick. You know who used to do that? Ladybug Club. And then they changed the name to 618 Live. The $50 line never moves because guess what you're going to do eventually? It's called supply and demand. If the $50 line, the $50 cover charge, this is just to get in. You don't even get a back rub. You pay $50 to get in, you don't even get a happy ending. You don't even get a free drink. But here's what they do, and we fall for it. The $50 line doesn't move, and eventually you're going to get fed up. You're going to go on the $100 line because you know that way you're going to get in. And we fall for it. Go to a majority white bar. You know what kind of band or music, like what kind of live act that they have to feature at a majority white club or bar, whatever, for white people to pay a cover charge? White people aren't paying 50 cents to get in. Hey, welcome to Country Rock and Roll Bar. Hey, how you guys? Oh, we're doing all right, dude. What's going on? Yeah, we have a 74-cent cover tonight. 74 freaking cents, dude. Are you freaking crazy? We'll go down the street and spend our freaking money. You tell the black person, yeah, we got local hip-hop tonight. We got all the hip-hop artists coming in, all the Milwaukee artists. Steve the Stoner's going to do a boombox concert. Cover charge is $982. Y'all take Visa. If these bars and these nightclubs or whatever the hell they are have been operating before black patrons discovered them, that is who their original customer base is. And if that original customer base drifts off too far, because the thing about black folks in nightlife, we'll change our habits. Like one spot might be hot this summer, next summer it's going to be somewhere else. So why would you got to think about this practically now. Why would you want to sacrifice your foundational customers for a cohort of African Americans who may find another place next summer, next spring, next year? And you've gutted your original foundation of customers. And a lot of times those customers are not going to come back. This is why so many bars close. A lot of times black folks will find a location. We take it over and we scare away all the white customers. I mean, we don't care about that. That's not our problem. As long as we're having a good time and we're getting good service, we don't care. But then there's a shooting or there's a fight or whatever the case may be. They do what the hi-hat in the garage is doing. We're going to shut down for 2 weeks. And sometimes those places never reopen. That is why we cannot keep the number of black-owned bars and clubs that have come and gone in this city in the last 20 years will blow your mind. The number of black-owned bars and clubs, because we try it with our people. We do, because we get sick of going to white people's places. The number of black-owned bars and clubs that have opened and closed in the last 30 years is more than current open establishments we have in the entire city right now. It's that many. Take a break, come back. Still talking about how many jobs you have. Xavier just told us about his secondary endeavor. What about you guys? Do some of you DJ on the weekends? Maybe I should start DJing. Ooh, they'd hate it if DJ Shershur came on the scene. I'm undercutting everybody. Ooh, what if I was a new DJ at the hi-hat? Ooh, they'd be so hot at me. I say, hey, hi-hat people, how much do y'all pay your DJs? I have no idea how much they pay their DJs. They say, oh, we pay them $350 a night. I say, word? I'll do it for $25 and a pina colada. Hired. Come to the hi-hat tonight featuring DJ Shershur. And guess what? I'm not playing them artists on that list. I know where my bread is buttered. Ooh, they want to kill me, wouldn't they? Because I don't need the DJ money. So I'll be like, oh, yeah, just give me a Big Mac, large fry, and an orange soda. I'll DJ all night long. DJ Shershur. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Educators Credit Union is more than a place to manage your money. They're where your financial possibilities take shape. They're more than transactions. They're conversations about your financial goals. More than numbers, They're community advocates who support free, local events that are accessible to all. They foster community because we are stronger together. Educators Credit Union is people helping people. Become a member at ECU.com. Insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility.
A new report ranking the country's hardest working states from personal finance website WalletHub puts Wisconsin at 20th overall, but also notes that nearly 8% of the state's workers have multiple jobs, and that's the third highest in the country. John Haywood, a UW Milwaukee economics professor, said inflation is likely a factor pushing more people in Wisconsin to get a second job as they face rising prices. But it could also be a result of some of the seasonal work common across Wisconsin and in the agriculture, construction, and tourism industries. My brother got a second job. Works at Kohl's. So I went to Kohl's to mess with him. He didn't even talk to me. He damn near ignored me. He was putting the shoes away. I'm like, I'm not coming here anymore if you can't lollygag with me. What's the point of having your brother work at Kohl's? We can't play hide and seek in the clothing section. You guys remember being a little kid and hiding in the clothing rack? Was I the only one that did that? I used to go shopping with my mother, which I hated. I hated it. I hate shopping with women now because here's what I come to find out. Ladies will go shopping with no intention of buying anything. Why? Why would you do that? I know what I'm going to get before I even leave the house. I know what store I'm going to. Hell, I know where I want to park at the store. When I get into the store, I don't need help from anybody because I know exactly what aisle, what shelf, and what rack the thing that I'm going to get is. And guess what? I buy it. And I don't need to try it on because I know my size because I literally live in my own body. I can look at a shirt. I can look at the damn shirt and tell if it's going to fit. And I buy the shirt. And I take the shirt home. I still don't try the shirt on. You know when I try the shirt on? When I'm about to wear it. I take the tags off. If the shirt is wrinkled, I'll iron it. If I can get away with not ironing the shirt, I'm certainly going to try that. But that will be the first time that shirt ever is on my body. When I wear it for the first time. You go shopping with a woman, she's got a whole bunch of stores that she wants to go to, and she just wants to look, and she wants to try on stuff, and then she wants to ask me how she looks in certain things. Why would you do that? I don't understand. Why do women do what they do? Xavier, I'm tempted, because I think we got everything we needed to get from this YouTube poll. I'm tempted to have you put up another YouTube poll, but I don't want to take responsibility for anyone who may get angry at the YouTube poll, because I got to know. And ladies, I'm not trying to offend you. I love you so very much. We cannot live without you. You know what else is disappointing? That some of y'all would choose the bear. I don't know, maybe men, we should choose the bear too, because bears don't kill their children. So there's that. I don't want to make them mad. Do women nag each other? Well, you know, Susie, you need to go over here. Why? This is not going to do itself. The work is not going to be completed. What are you waiting for? You know that you have to go and you got to file the reports, and you know you've got to do the laundry. Why are you not doing the laundry? The laundry's not going to do itself. Did you go to the store? Did you get fabric softening? You know you got to get fabric. Why are you waiting to get the fabric softening? You probably should go either before work and go earlier. There probably won't be a line at the grocery store. Or maybe if you can squeeze it in, if you go after. Do women nag each other? Or is it just us? How do women, or is that being a girl's girl? When you're a girl's girl, you just don't hold other women accountable and responsible for anything? Yes, girl. Yes, you do that. Yes, girl. Cheat on your man. Yes, girl. Absolutely. You're for the streets, girl. We love it so much. Yes, girl. Is that what it? Am I going to get in trouble if I ask that question? Because I genuinely want to know. And I'm coming from a place of deep affection for women. It's disappointing that women, when you ask them, and maybe I'm just watching too much crap on my feed, where you ask a group of like just 10 random women, hey, could you live on a planet without men? And they all say yes. Oh, I could walk around at night and don't have to worry about my safety, and I can wear whatever I want, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but what would get fixed? Your roads and bridges would crumble?
Your
Buildings would
algorithm
fall
is
apart?
poisoning you.
You think so?
Yes. You kind of are coming off of like almost like incel energy.
I don't think incels exist. It is impossible to not get laid.
If
you are not getting laid, you are literally choosing not to. I'll die on that hill, because go pay $150. Get your rocks off, bro. That's not involuntarily celibate. I think they just want women to throw themselves at them. Women rarely do that. But also, even if they did, nobody wants a fish that jumps in the boat. I want to catch one. You know what I mean?
No, just some of the guys, they're talking to the women, and the women are not perceptive to them because they may not, be as good looking, or they might be a little weird, and they need to do a little personal work. But
that's not involuntarily celibate. You got to do work on yourself. If you want to enter another human being's body, bro, there's a very minimum standard in which you need to carry yourself, because you're actually asking a lot. And so these guys, these women, they don't want to help. They don't want to have sex with me. You're gross. You're disgusting. Your fingernails are dirty. You don't take care of yourself. No, you wouldn't want to sleep with you, sir. And also, if you're involuntarily celibate, if you're a man, okay, and no women want to sleep with you, try men. I bet you get laid then. No, hold on. That's not, you said involuntarily celibate. They're involuntarily celibate, potentially with the wrong sex. Try approaching a man. I bet you get your rocks off that way, buddy. You ain't incel no more. No. Involuntarily means there's nothing that I can do to receive physical affection. And then I would wonder, have they tried everything in order to try and receive physical affection? Have you taken a shower? Have you put on clean clothes? Do you have a nice pair of shoes? Have you combed your hair? Have you trimmed your disgusting beard? Have you done? Well, no! I just want a woman to want to sleep with me. Have you brushed your teeth? Have you gone to the dentist? Well, no. That's not involuntarily celibate. That's, you know what it is? It's boys that were so coddled by their mamas. Their mama, oh, you're such a handsome boy. I am, mama. And he gets out here into the real world, because women they'll be honest with you. And I think that's what a lot of men need, because far too many men were raised by helicopter parents and bulldozer parents telling them their whole life that they were perfect, and the parents cleared all the obstacles. The biggest obstacle that a man will face, other than like money challenges and maybe health issues, is going to be women. Biggest obstacles we are going to face. But once you have the health challenges underway, and it could be taking care of your health, it could be being in shape, and once you have the money challenges all sorted out, you don't even got to do nothing. Women will just come. They'll jump in your boat. That's it. So involuntarily celibate might mean, bro, put in a little bit more effort, because it's usually worth it. It's worth it. Put in a little effort. All right, let's
definitely worth it.
Thank you, Xavier. And I know you don't believe some of that incel stuff too. These are men that just, in no universe could they ever get laid. And then if you look at them and talk to them, you're like, oh, I totally get it, sir. You're disgusting. That's why. All right. Oh, my guest isn't here yet. This is the wrong time to be talking about this stuff. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes exclusively on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
We Energies is asking the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin for permission to raise electric and natural gas rates again in 2027 and 2028. For families already struggling with high energy bills, these...
You made my soul a burning fire. You're getting to be my one desire. You're getting to be all that matters to me.
Come on, Stevie.
Tell you, girl, I hope and pray each day I live. A little more love I'll have to give.
Lady B says, Lady B, you back to your old tricks. You just can't keep it together. She said, you were probably doing too much like you always do, Sherwin. Visiting me at work, no work would get done. First of all, if I visit somebody at their job, I don't care if they get work done. It ain't my job. I'm not going to get fired. I don't care if you're not working. When I come to visit you at work, literally stop what you're doing. Because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. Don't work when I show up. I mean, tell your manager or whoever you got to take a break because Sherwin just showed up. Don't work when I'm there. The hell is the point of me coming to visit for you to work? You can work when I'm not there. Lady B, where you work at? We need to just figure this damn thing out. I need to get this thing over with. I need to see what you look like. Where you work at, Lady B? Tell me where your job is. Tell me what your occupation. Where you work at? She might work in a damn coal mine somewhere.
I think she's just all talk.
She got fired for stealing boxes on her day off. How you get fired on your day off? They said they caught me stealing boxes. Oh, my goodness. What is happening to this world? The Jehovahs are here early. A bunch of them are here. I see them. They're wearing blue vests. They're here in the market hall. They're going to try and convert y'all. Oh, speaking of which, I need a woman between the ages of 35 and 55 to be the second half of my Halloween costume. Okay? We can go from petite to plus size, but I need the age range of 35 to 55. It's going to be a long weekend because this year Halloween falls on a weekend. In fact, it's Saturday, October 31st. And so all weekend, we're going to be going to Halloween-themed events, including costume parties in which there is a cash prize. I've put a lot of thought into this Halloween costume. This one is going to win. It's going to be literally the most original idea anyone has ever seen. I had a Halloween costume idea many, many years ago, but I couldn't get someone to oblige me. I needed a white woman. She didn't have to have blonde hair, but a blonde wig would have sufficed, and then she would have been wearing a white dress, of course, for more dramatic effect, just covered in blood, and then I would have been OJ. People are like, oh, Sherwin, we can't dress like that. That somebody will be offended. I was like, how much time needs to pass? You know, it's Halloween. Xavier, should we put up the poll? Because I just want to see.
Yeah, what do you want the poll to be?
But can you take the heat for it if somebody gets offended? Will you take responsibility for the poll?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. How do we word it? Ladies, comma, do you nag each other or just men? And then the choices will be, I guess, no, hold on. We need the answers. Ladies, do you nag each other? And then the answers or the responses could be, I don't know how we do the responses. Do you nag each other or just men? Maybe that's just what the poll is. Do you nag each other or just men? And then, because can you have just one response? Okay, then the response will be men. Because I'm curious if they.
For the answer?
Yes. Do you nag each other? Or no, the responses will be each other or men. Okay. Or both. Each other, men, or both. Because some just are naggers. And where do you learn that? Like, well, probably from your mother, I guess. Oh, there's nothing worse than. I'd rather be alone. Because it's usually when you're trying to rest, like, oh, I had a long day of radio. I just want to come home and watch CNBC, see how the market is doing, see if I need to adjust my portfolio to maybe add more bond positions or whatever the case may be. And then here she comes, stomping. Doom, doom, doom. You know the grass is not going to cut itself, and I'm thinking about planting some shrubbery. Should we go to the garden center and just look? Can we go to the garden center? Can you drive? I don't have any gas in my car. Is your Tesla charged up? Because I really don't want to drive. I'm also hungry. Are you hungry? And you got to say that you're hungry when she's hungry. Otherwise, she'll feel fat. So now you both have to go and eat. And then you got to go to the garden center to look at shrubbery because she wants to plant some shrubbery. All I wanted to do was lay on the couch and watch CNBC until I drift off and take a nap. That's all I wanted to do. But now I'm going to the garden center, and we're looking at petunias. I didn't even want any petunias. I didn't want any daffodils. Nobody wanted to plant any damn geraniums. Why are you planting geraniums now anyway? It's August. Oh, this poll's going to get us in so much trouble. Ooh. I wish you would put your name on this. So for the poll, ladies and gentlemen, that is currently on the YouTube, it has nothing to do with me. This is Xavier the Pimp. He coaches women on how to extract money from their sugar daddies, which that's not even a bad thing to do because you are providing a much needed service. Because here's the thing about how you can get money from men. And far too many women believe that you have to be body forward, use your body first. The best way to get money from a man is you cater to his ego. And you don't even have to give up the cookies. I mean, eventually, maybe as a little maintenance to keep it from drifting. Because also, the sugar daddy is transient. Because he'll just find. Because if you have the money, you can give your money to whoever you want to. He can't commit and doesn't need to commit to you. And you got to be careful with that because some women are expecting their sugar daddy to be consistent. He can, just like the garage, he can decide, nope, I'm going in a different direction. Ain't nothing you can do about it. And you can complain. You can do an interview on CBS 58. Well, I don't think it's fair that my sugar daddy all of a sudden put up a list of requirements for me. He can change whenever he wants to because he has the money. But if you really want to get money from a man, you cater to his ego. Some men just want to be told that they're handsome. That's it. That compliment goes a long way because if you tell a woman she's pretty, especially if she is pretty, she's probably heard it a bunch. Men don't really get told they're handsome. Women get told they're pretty by everybody, other men and especially other women. Women will tell unpretty women that they're pretty because they know how great of a compliment that is. If a man gets told he's handsome, that puts a spring in our step, especially if she's an attractive woman. You let a woman tell me I'm handsome. I'm like, okay, what are we doing here still? Like, why are we still here? Why are we?
That only works for a little bit.
But it works.
Yes.
If a really attractive woman just came up to you, it's like, I know I don't know you, and I know you're probably busy. I just wanted to stop and tell you that I think you're really handsome, and I wanted to introduce myself to you. Me and her going on a date. That date already started. We're on our first date.
Yeah.
Well, come ride with me. Let's go somewhere. I'm taking to my favorite restaurant. Daddy, please.
I got a hot date tonight.
You do?
Yes.
Really? Where you going?
I think I'm going to go to a vegan spot.
Oh, is that right? Is she one of them vegans?
Yeah, she's a vegan lady.
There's one on Farwell, Strangetown. I don't know if they're still open.
Oh, yes.
I was
looking
top notch, bro. Seriously. Great vibe, great atmosphere. Everybody there is a little bit of a hippie, but that's fine. You don't mind that. No, great place to go for. Actually, a woman took me on a date. Let me tell you where we went. We went to Strangetown for dinner. We went to the speakeasy in the Black Cat Alley, that little speakeasy right there. And then guess where we went after that? We went to the Landmark Lanes and had some drinks at the bar at the Landmark. And she paid for the whole thing. That was a great night.
Sounds like a great night.
Oh, it was fantastic. And then, she knows that I'm a Bucks fan. And the glasses that they served our drinks in were these Milwaukee Bucks themed. It had the Bango logo on it and then a ball and a net. And then the woman I was with, because she knew that I liked the Bucks, she was like to the bartender, hey, how can we buy these glasses? How much if we want to purchase these two glasses? And the bartender was so cool. She was like, well, they're technically not for sale, but this is what the bartender said to us. She said, I'm going to walk down here and serve these customers on the far far end of the bar. And if your two glasses happen to disappear, well, then I guess I'll have to pour you new drinks and new glasses. So my homegirl, she brought her big purse that night. She put the glasses in her purse. Perfect night. All right, I'm going to take a break, come back. I'm going to be speaking with Michael Nguyen. He is the executive director of Teach for America Milwaukee. That's why we got to clean this conversation up before he gets here now, and I really hope he's not listening. Because we're going to talk about education. We're going to talk about representation in the classroom and why our students and our children that are attending school really need to see more diverse teachers because it will ultimately help improve.
Overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Tell me a secret. I don't just want to know about any secret of yours. I want to know about one special secret.
I highly suggest you play this song for your date tonight, Xavier. Let me know about your special secret.
I don't think that'll work.
Look, you might ask her what her special secret is. She might say, I used to be a man. How you like them apples?
Well?
What you mean, well? Date over, sir. Like, why would you reveal it then? Like, reveal it early so someone can make a more informed decision.
I'm pretty sure she's a female. She's a tiny little woman.
All right. Like, if I used to be Sherwina.
Hopefully she's not listening right now.
I doubt it. Your women don't listen to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, they don't.
I don't know who listens to my show. Actually, I have no idea. I know I run into people. Oh, Sherwin, I listen to your show. I'm like, you do? But then there's always like a caveat. I listen until Al calls or Bob calls or something. I can't look at the poll results without voting in it. Only a few people have voted so far, but what are we looking like?
33% say they nag men, and then 11% say they nag each other, and then 56% say they nag both.
Yuck. At least they're consistent with it. Fellas, maybe we need to start nagging. We do. We just do it productively. You know what I mean? We don't do it. We do it in a way that hopefully elicits the desired results. I don't know if we nag. We suggest. We make suggestions. Or we give very direct action or hints, perhaps. Right? I don't know. Let's see if I can read some of these comments. I'll close the poll for the time being. LaRon says, if I go shopping with a woman, I'm literally looking for another woman, and all and other women you see while shopping know it, even it's a bye week during football season. So hang on a second. If you go shopping with a woman, you're looking for, I guess women do make good wingmen, I suppose. You know what I mean? Because
they do.
You're already kind of like proofed, you know? If I see a woman, this is me. Some of y'all are very different than me, okay? If I see a woman that's with another man, yuck. No thanks. No thank you. No. Hi, Michael. You probably have no idea what you're walking into. I guarantee you the interview is going to go very, very well. It's going to be very professional. I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you. Right now, I'm just cleaning out some of the radio cobwebs. We're getting some of these old topics out of the way before we make way for you. No, it's going to be totally fine. Don't worry about it. I also hope you weren't listening earlier. But no, it's fine. It's totally fine. Michael is here. We're going to be talking about education, and representation matters, ladies and gentlemen. You know, our young people and our students, they need to see teachers that look like them. It automatically, in my opinion, makes the information just a little bit more credible. I didn't have my first black teacher. Well, I had a black librarian in elementary school. I don't know if that really counted. I was like, oh, a black woman. She's good with the books. So I guess that was a good foundation. But I didn't get a black teacher until I was in high school. And then I had a couple of black professors in college, but I think where I needed to see more, especially black men, had I seen more.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Boy, are you the one that keep me informed?
Welcome to Hour 3 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. And as promised, Michael Nguyen is in studio. Michael, welcome to the program, and thank you for taking the time and being here. Thank you for showing up.
Happy to be here. Happy to show up.
You have an incredible story and a great journey. You are the executive director of Teach for America. You moved to Milwaukee after joining the first cohort of TFA Milwaukee Core members in 2009. Formerly, you managed admissions, communications, and fund development as chief of staff at Carmen Schools of Science and Tech, a network of 5 public elementary, middle, and high schools. Previously served as the senior managing director for TFA Leadership Development at TFA Milwaukee, principal at St. Anthony Middle School, teacher at St. Anthony School, and MPS, a graduate of the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Earned your master's from Marquette University and your Wisconsin State licensure in education, administration, and curriculum and instruction from Alverno College. Well, you certainly have the resume and the experience to occupy the positions that you do. We're going to talk about the diversity in the teachers that we have currently. And if we focused on the Milwaukee public school system, and we talk about them a lot because this is the predominant way in which the majority of the children in this city get educated. And when there's a referendum, it is MPS that receives our tax dollars because most of us see the investment in public education as worthwhile. Michael, can you tell us about the importance of having a core of teachers and instructors that are as diverse as the students that they teach?
Yeah, so first, thanks for having me on here. And folks who are listening might already know this, but if we look at the state of Wisconsin, it's about less than, I think, 5% of folks who are teachers of color in the state, about 2% who are black and brown men, right? And Milwaukee is much more than that. And I think in Milwaukee, it's 20 to 30% of folks who are people of color, who are teaching and leading classrooms. Teach for America, our cohort ranges around 40 to 45% annually, bringing in teachers of color. And while I didn't, let me start with this, if you don't mind, right? So I'm a Vietnamese American. Parents were immigrants to the U.S. after the Vietnam War. Refugees came here, had to figure out their lives, help other folks acclimate to living in the U.S. after being in Vietnam all their lives, right? So for me to come to Milwaukee, and I taught at Carson Academy in Milwaukee Public Schools my first year, taught at St. Anthony my second year, and those schools were largely monolithic, right? I learned so much my first year at Carson Academy from the black women teachers who taught in the 7th and 8th grade classes around me, of what it looked like to listen to students, to value their backgrounds, where they were coming from. And my first year, I didn't look like my students, right? Nor my second year, right? Because I taught at St. Anthony, which was predominantly Hispanic Latino kiddos, right? But my first year, it was coaching flag football. It was going to Wednesday night church. It was getting dinner with a group of my kids every now and then and really figuring out who they were and their backgrounds to better connect and make sure my instruction really fit who, like, really reached my children. But the ability for Teach for America to bring in teachers who look like the students that they are teaching, it is showing children what it looks like to lead in the community, what it looks like to be an outstanding adult, and for the classroom, the engagement, the interactions, the ability to make lessons, not just relative to what the kids' interests are, but like a representation of Milwaukee, really engages children to learning and wanting to just excel in the classroom.
Michael, how do you get, because I know that it's wishful thinking to believe that we can get, in at least a short amount of time, a much more diverse, crop of folks who want to teach at schools that we know are incredibly diverse. But how do you encourage, especially, a young teacher, you are more than just someone who is leading a classroom, that you really should take advantage of other opportunities to get to know your students, to be involved in the neighborhoods and the communities in which your students live in, especially in these days and times where there's no residency requirement. A lot of these teachers may live somewhere else, outside of the community in which their students live. How do you encourage teachers to be more involved, just to better connect with their students and also so they can learn a little bit more cultural competency?
I mean, at the end of the day, teaching is about building relationships with children, gaining their trust, right? Because, like, you're not going to listen to someone who you don't think believes in you, who you don't think cares about your well-being, right? Teaching isn't just lesson planning and executing in front of the classroom. It's about having a classroom culture where children want to learn, right? So if that is, like, one of the first questions that we have is, like, how do you get kids engaged in and care about what they're learning through relationships? Then your job as a teacher is to build those individual relationships. So A, it is like a relational piece, but B, it is very much a tactical piece. Like, you learn this in education programs. You learn this through Teach for America about building relationships, building classroom culture. So while it is about building those one-on-one connections, it is also, in my belief, a prerequisite for being an excellent classroom teacher.
Speaking with Michael Nguyen, the executive director of Teach for America Milwaukee. Michael, there is indeed a workforce gap. Black and brown students overwhelmingly, but the teaching and the teaching force is majority white, and maybe that can lead to some misunderstandings and a lack of cultural competency. I know that I harp on the disparities in discipline that exist amongst black students, especially those that are attending Milwaukee public schools. What can we do to encourage more black and brown folk to be in the classroom and to decide to be a teacher?
Well, I can talk specifically to what TFA does for recruitment, right? So, like I said, our percentages are around 40% bringing in teachers of color, right? Part of our strategy, a man named Andres on my team is recruiting locally at Marquette, UW Milwaukee. One thing he does is builds relationships with different student groups at the college level, right? So a great partner to us has been the Roberto Hernandez Center over at UW Milwaukee, right? What Andres does is he doesn't just go there to recruit and say, you should be a teacher. He's going there to find out, what do the students value? What do they care about? How do they want to impact the community? And then helping those students in college see that a pathway towards realizing and living out their values is being a classroom teacher. And UW Milwaukee has a high percentage of kids who grew up in the city. So being able to tell kids, hey, you're in this position not just because of your merit, of which you highly deserved your space, but also because of the teachers that were in front of you that helped you realize your potential, right? How incredible is it for you to also do that for the future generations of students? That's what recruitment looks like. Knowing the individual, knowing their values, and helping them see that live out in the classroom.
Teach for America is a nonprofit organization that recruits and trains college graduates and professionals to teach for at least 2 years in under-resourced urban and rural public schools across the United States. That brings up the critique. You have folks that probably have never been in a classroom since they were a student, and you're putting them in some cases in some very, very challenging environments. What do you say to those that use that as a critique? You're putting relatively inexperienced professionals in some very challenging classrooms.
Well, first of all, I think critique is feedback, right? Feedback, the things that we need to consider and ways that we can improve our program and share what our program is. So let me just talk a little bit about our program. We accept about 15% of folks who apply to Teach for America. A lot of the values and backgrounds we're seeking are folks who have led organizations or groups, has had outcomes with the places they've led. They've seen success in college. They've seen success in their professional background. They've led diverse groups. And if I just isolated that, like that's the type of leader that you would want in any scenario. Folks who have had a track record of success and worked in different groups and communities. Now, when they join Teach for America, they get coaching, right? Our coach at Teach for America, Sapphire is a former high school principal. That is who was supporting them every step of the way. They are teaching 5 weeks of summer school prior to getting into the first day of school and getting that feedback from mentor teachers at the school site, specifically at Milwaukee Academy of Science. They are getting mentor teacher support. And then they are getting professional development with us through 2 years and earning their certification and master's during their 2-year commitment. So I hear the feedback that talks about like, okay, who are you putting in the classroom? And it's important for folks to know that it is not just like a linear experience. It is one with an incredible amount of support around individuals who are coming in with a lot of merit and talent that want to be great for children.
To make sure I heard you correctly, did you say that you all accept just 15% of the people that apply for TFA?
That's right.
That is incredibly selective.
That's right.
And do you believe that selective process can help reduce turnover? Because I'd imagine if you were less selective, because turnover is always, it's a problem. Teachers are getting burnt out. It seems like now they're getting burnt out even faster than they were in previous generations. Is the selection process helping to cut down on potential burnout of teachers and reduce turnover?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a recent stat, right? So as we mentioned, Teach for America is a 2-year commitment. And our recent cohort who just finished their commitment, 86% came back for a 3rd year in the classroom, right? So my folks who just completed their TFA commitment didn't leave. They are staying, working with children, right? How do I think they got there? I think they got there because, A, they built great relationships with their children, saw the impact they were making in the classroom, and were scaffolded that support during their initial 2 years in the classroom, getting that coaching, getting that training. In terms of our recruitment, part of what we're looking for from people is, how have you had instances in the past of persevering through challenges? You know, your challenges that you've experienced in college is going to be an indicator, not the only one. But when you get in the classroom and a student isn't following your direction or your lesson plan isn't going the way you wrote it yesterday, how do you find a different solution? How do you make a different connection? So when we're recruiting folks, when we are interviewing and accepting people, how have they demonstrated that perseverance in the past so that they can get through the challenges that are going to happen for every first-year teacher?
Speaking with Michael Nguyen, the executive director of Teach for America Milwaukee. Michael came to Milwaukee in 2009 as part of the very first TFA Milwaukee Corps and never left. Michael was taught at St. Anthony School and Dr. Benjamin Carson Academy, became principal of St. Anthony Middle School, and served as chief of staff and interim CEO at Carmen Schools of Science and Technology before taking over the region. 17 years in the city across private, public, charter, and district schools. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the 2030 literacy goal and TFA's citywide Science of Reading work. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Natural gas is a clean, reliable
Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
And we're back. Welcome back to the program. Michael Nguyen is here. He's the executive director of Teach for America Milwaukee. We are going to dig into what I think is one of the most prevailing problems that exist in the city of Milwaukee. And every time these statewide report cards come out, I am quick to report on the progress and the performance of our school district because we heavily invest in it. And if the district needs more money and they ask us, taxpayers, hey, can we have a little bit more money because the babies can't read? We always open up our wallets and our property taxes go up. But for some reason, I don't believe that we are getting a sufficient return on our investment. There needs to be a heavier focus, maybe from different viewpoints of how we can double down on increasing literacy. There are about 31,000 kids in K-3 in Milwaukee schools right now, and only about 3,000 of them are meeting reading targets. Teach for America's work on the science of reading goes beyond their own core members, and they are doing great things across the city. Michael, what does it look like, and is 2030 realistic to make substantial improvements to these numbers?
Supporting by we train our core members in science of reading and making sure they have the training they need to be great reading teachers for their kiddos. We're also working with schools to manage the science of reading trainings that their schools or their teachers are receiving. Why does that matter? First of all, it would be a mistake for me not to mention the Milwaukee Reading Coalition. Milwaukee Reading Coalition started by Dr. Howard Fuller, by Ms. Joanne Anton, and the late Mr. Mark Sain, and has the backing of 400 education, nonprofit, community, and business leaders who have essentially said this is a problem that impacts all of Milwaukee, whether we talk about the well-being and health of children, communities and neighborhoods, or the economic engine of both the city and the state. If we don't figure out the reading issue that's prevalent for decades in this city, then we are continuing to watch generations of children receive a miseducation, as I've heard Dr. Howard Fuller say, right? Is 2030 realistic? Here's what 2030 serves as. 2030 serves as a marker for us that if we at Teach for America and across the country in different education systems are seeking to either double reading proficiency or seeing gains in children's outcomes in schools, then we have to pursue something. We have to try to put in efforts to better train teachers, get the right curriculum in front of kids, make sure we're reading at home, improving family involvement and schools outreach so that families are even more aware of how their kids are performing. 2030 allows us to have a marker, a benchmark, a litmus test that have we made gains? 4 years from now, how are kids performing? What has gone well? What has not? What needs to continue? What needs to change? Otherwise, quite honestly, we just stay on this hamster wheel of saying we're doing our best, having good intentions. But if we don't have a mile marker to measure and be accountable to these efforts that we're making from the state, as far as Act 20 and science of literacy, the science of reading goes, down to the level of training teachers and spending money on curriculum, then all of this is going to be for naught if we can't see gains for children by a specific point of time.
To give people some perspective, 2030 is essentially so incoming freshmen, by the time they graduate, that is the deadline that has been set. Michael, did things go downhill when we stopped teaching phonics? Have we brought phonics and teaching phonics back to the curriculum? Because it used to be, I remember growing up, we had a whole phonics workbook. Mm-hmm. It was a very specific focus for many, many years of my education. Now, that also was in the 20th century. Did things change for the worse when we eliminated or reduced phonics in the classroom?
I think that's what the data tells us, right? So many of us in education have been guilty of this, right? And including me. I was a principal at a school where we didn't use science of reading fully. We used something called balanced literacy that relied more on context clues, relied more on kids, less on blending sounds and phonemic awareness. And when we say science of reading, like the semantics, like not to get too wonky, there's like a specific way you teach kids how to read, right? The easiest way to put this is like if those of us who remember the commercials for Hooked on Phonics, right? Like my parents bought me that, right? Like they made me do that when I was like 6, right? Like that's what science reading is getting back to the basics. And when we have diverted from that in the last 10 or 15 years, we have seen scores go down, proficiency levels drop, and of course COVID was there. But let's make no mistake, like the reading proficiency levels haven't been strong for decades. And the population that has been most affected are Black and brown children.
There's a conversation happening about parental choice program. I don't like the term voucher, but it's one that's very familiar with a lot of people. Charters and Milwaukee public school budgets, the governor's race, etc. From your position, Michael, the person recruiting and training, who stands in front of the kids? What is the thing that the city keeps missing in this never-ending debate between public schools and charter schools and private schools? What are we not getting?
I'll try to bucket this in a few things. First is, for Teach for America, when we bring our core members and our alumni, so core members are the folks who are currently in the program, alumni who are folks who finished the program, our alumni are in the private schools, they're in the public charter, they're in the district. You put them in the same room together, they're talking about what we should be doing better for kids as a city. How can we improve reading scores? How can we change the way we teach? How do we build more connections with the teachers and the community? That's what the conversation is when we bring our community together, right? So I think it's important for folks to know that while they read the newspapers and read online that these debates are happening, and they are important debates, that educators want what's best for children. Now, the other thing that I think happens is, when we get in these debates around private schools, charter schools, or district schools, we're having a conversation as though we're all wearing different jerseys. Like this is like the NBA or something. We're all in the same league. The kids are all of the city, and there are many families in Milwaukee who couldn't tell you right now if their school was a public MPS school or a public charter school or a private school. And if they could, their interest is having an excellent education for their kids, right? The topic that I would love for us to have more than anything outside of this debate is accountability. What is an excellent school? In my opinion, an excellent school is where a child is learning how to read, learning how to do math, learning how to write, and being set up to get a college degree or post-secondary career that matches their values and helps them sustain, right? If you are a school that is not doing that for year over year, we need to have a conversation as to why you still have students in your building. We need to have a conversation about why you continue to be funded. We need to have accountability in a space where kids and families who are trusting the systems and adults in front of them, that they are getting what they deserve, which is an excellent education.
We're speaking with Michael Nguyen, Executive Director of Teach for America Milwaukee. We often hear, and we're going to hear a lot more of, we have to fully fund our public schools. Michael, the public schools need to be fully funded. Heard it incessantly during the Democratic primary. Very glad that primary is over. Looking forward to the general election. But our public schools are not fully funded. And you got the charter schools, and you got the voucher schools. We have to fully fund public schools. How much of the problem that we are seeing is the funding is not enough? We need to increase the per pupil allocation. Because if you talk to some folks, they'll tell you, well, it's all about the funding. If we have more money to invest in every single child, and of course, some of these disparities that we see will disappear. There's more to the story than that, right? So first and foremost, what does fully funding public education even look like? And is the problem that we are seeing, especially with the low number of children that can read proficiently, is it really a funding thing, or there's something else going on?
I think there's a complexity here. I think, first of all, Dr. Cathelius over in Milwaukee Public Schools has stepped into a situation where she had to balance the budget, get the audits correct, understand how money has been spent. And so there are efforts happening at the district level to figure out what funding are we receiving, how are we spending that funding, and what impact does that have on children, right? So MPS is in the midst of trying to figure that out, and we watched how they had to restructure this past year for teacher and staffing. So they're in the midst of that right now. So that's a question that every school has to answer. The amount of money that I have, am I spending it in the best way for children to make sure they're getting the best education possible, right? The other thing is also true, right? As Teach for America bringing in teachers into schools, we often see our teachers and our alumni who are still in the classroom not just be the teacher. Sometimes they're the one checking in on the child's mental well-being. Sometimes they're the coach. Sometimes they have the bandage because that school doesn't have a nurse. Sometimes they're calling home because the school doesn't have the resources to have a parent coordinator, right? So I am watching, and my wife's an educator, and I see all the things that she has to do in addition to what's on a job description, right? So when we think about it that way, there are resources either needed to be provided to schools or ways that we are forming our budgets in schools that are providing the resources that not just children need, but that teachers need so that they can do what's best, which is teach children.
Michael, if people want more information about Teach for America, where should they go?
teachforamerica.org. You can also reach out to me and my team at Teach for America Milwaukee specifically. I heard you right before I hopped on saying that you wanted to teach. I'll let you know right now that we take career changers all the time because you bring incredible experience and community involvement to the table, and I look forward to that conversation with you.
You guys are too selective. You only take 15%. I may not make the cut, but I do appreciate your confidence in me, and thank you so much for all that you do.
SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking. Now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I've got a great idea, losing my sense of where, trading the silent ones. I'm sure you know it's wrong.
Hold on. Hey. What is this? Why are you trying to turn my radio show into men's night at Lacage? What is it? Xavier said, Sherwin, don't worry about music. I got a song. I was like, cool, play it. And this what you play? This is men dancing cages to this.
Little Blood Orange.
This is men put oil on their shaved bodies and they dance to this. What is this?
This is Blood Orange.
I don't know what that is.
One of the best alternative artists around.
You better turn Blood Orange off because I don't know. This is what, Bailey freely admits why she does it. I have no idea. Bailey Coleman freely admits that she has attended a Diddy party. And she's like proud of it.
Yeah.
But I can't see Bailey being oiled up. You know what I mean? Like when I picture women that may go to a party, I'm like, oh yeah, oil me up. Denise
I'm not
Thomas,
even trying to imagine that.
Denise Thomas brings her own oil, if I had to guess. But I don't see, Bailey would be like kind of in the corner, just like, oh no. She wouldn't want the oil to splash on her even. Because she seems to be she's a reserved lady. And they give Bailey, I listen to the morning show, they give her a lot of heat because Bailey's a different kind. She's from Seattle, you see. So she's a little different. And some people may take issue with Bailey's perspective on things, and they call her Shay Foo Foo because she's a little bit bougie, But she ain't that bougie. She went to a Diddy party. So let's talk to Robert. Why don't we do that? Let's talk to Robert. Hi, Robert. You're on 1017 The Truth. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, Sherwin. You're very fortunate.
This ain't no Robert.
Well, you gave a good interview, and what I did that aggravated me, they wouldn't let me call in when Mike was there.
For good reason, Bob, because you would mess it up. What was your question? Ask me the question. I answer for you. What's the question?
Oh, you answer it for me? Okay. He gave a very impressive resume. I mean, you gave a very impressive resume about him. and you gave him a very unique, impressive introduction. Does that mean that you have changed your mind about the college he went to?
No.
Because you don't like it. I'll talk to you later. That's what I was going to say, sir.
So you was going to call just to start some mess because you know how I feel about Marquette, and Marquette is on his resume of educational institution. You was gonna
know.
That's why they didn't take your call, man. You ain't got to start no beef between me and that man. We was having a conversation about educating the kids. We need to educate you. Maybe you need to go back to school. Bob, what's the highest grade you completed?
Not Sherwin.
Bob, what's the highest?
Third year in college.
What?
And
no. I mean, like, what is that equivalent to in modern education? So, like, second grade? What's the highest grade? What's your highest diploma you got? 8th grade?
Oh, high school, you know. But, Sherwin, there's one more thing I want to tell you.
Don't get yourself in trouble.
Watch your mouth. Man should not be alone. It's so wonderful to see old couples when I go into a store holding hands. When you get in your 60s and up, you be too set in your ways. Get you somebody, you at the perfect age to get a woman. You at the and then you spend some time, 10 years, 20 years. Don't get you won't change when you get in your 60s. You'll be too ornery. You must kind of get you at the perfect age to get a nice woman. And get one now so you can enjoy her for 10 or 15 or 20 years. You know, that's
Where your woman at, Bob? Where your woman is? Huh?
Well, I didn't know. Nobody told me, otherwise I'd have probably had a woman early at your age. I didn't have the advice I'm giving you. That man should not be alone when God made him. But I'll handle it to being alone. But you at the perfect age, man. You're not young, where you don't know what you're doing. The only thing is, if their kids are grown, you got to know how to deal with them.
No, the hell I don't. I'm not dealing with no grown kids. I ain't got nothing. I ain't going to get into it. Her kids better be grown. I ain't messing with no women that's got, Sherwin, I got a 4-year-old. Bye. I see you in 20 years. Ain't no way.
No.
They all got kids, Bob. You got women that's in their 50s. They got kids that's in elementary school. Ain't no way. Hell to them.
Sherwin, you got to ease up on the women until you get you one. And, and get you one.
Bob, they're not terribly difficult to get. Just FYI. They're not. All I gotta do is check my inbox and pick a winner. That's all I gotta do. It's like a lottery. Today I call your number. Tomorrow
want to interact with you in a good way. You know what I mean? And you feel her, and
Hold on, man. Wait a minute. What you mean? Explain yourself.
You interact with her. She's your type. And you don't have to go into teaching her or nothing, because she says things that anoint you, that just makes you impressed. And, so yeah, you got a lot of women maybe calling you, but that doesn't mean nothing. You get you a woman early. You're at the perfect age.
Where should I go, Bob? Where do you recommend I meet a woman? Where should I go?
In the grocery store.
Oh.
That's where you meet.
Okay, then. Do you have how do I approach her? What should I say to get her attention, Bob? What do I say to her?
Oh, you look nice today. Oh. You look nice. And then she says, oh, he says I look nice. And then see how she articulates, and go from there, and she says, she might say, oh, you look nice too. I've had women say that to me.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, you look nice too. And it tripped me out. Showing you need to get you a woman at your age, it's 52, 51, before you get my age.
Because then is it too late? Is it too late for you, Bob?
Yeah, I'm too ornery. I bust. No, I'm set in my ways. Don't get to even though I stay in my room 90% of the time, I wash dishes and use the lavatory and cook. But, man should not be alone when God made him.
Thank you, Bob. That is very good advice. Thank you so very much. I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to go to the grocery store and I'm going to get me a woman.
Okay, I'll talk to you, Sherwin.
Terrible advice.
Okay. Last time. See, I'm not good in the grocery store like that. It used to be my jam, but now it used to be a lot easier. Like I had a whole routine in the grocery store. So here's the thing about the grocery store. When I go, there's a very unique subset of women that are there. Because I'm done with work so early, going to the grocery store when I'm done with the radio is literally ideal. It's not very crowded. But there's a very specific subset of women that are at the grocery store right now as opposed to after work. After work is when you get the professional women, maybe working moms because they had their 8-hour workday, and then after work they go either pick up something for themselves if they're single. I can always tell what a woman's status is based upon what she has in her cart, or even if she has a cart, does she have a little basket, if she's got a couple of items in her hand. I usually can tell, and I can start a conversation based upon what I can deduct from what she is buying. Zach said grocery store happy hour, but here's the problem that I sometimes face. My old routine didn't work. I see her in the pasta aisle because women love the pasta, okay? And I see her getting the cremettes, and she's picking up the cremettes. She might be getting some angel hair. She might be getting some linguine. And I say, well, I prefer burrito pasta, but I see that you like the cremettes. I'm just curious, what kind of sauce do you use? And now we're over here talking about food. She don't even know what's coming her way because I'm starting to lay it on. Because I'm not approaching her like, oh, you're pretty. Oh, you got a nice body. We over here talking about food. She, oh, no, I like to use the red sauce. I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe can you shoot me a text message and let me know whatever else you put in your pasta because I might want to try your recipe. Here you go. So she's cooked. I already got her. She's done. But then my approach is different now because now my tolerance for these women, because they don't even respect the gentleman these days. Like every woman seems like they're being threatened, even if a man just wants to be nice to you. All right, ladies, if you want to act like men, then y'all do the approaching. But y'all are terrible at it. So last woman I seen in the grocery store, this didn't go over very well. I do not recommend you do what I did. Learn from my mistakes. Learn from my mistake. She was in the ice creams aisle. Ain't nothing wrong with ice creams. Everybody like ice creams, you know what I mean? But as she's picking up the ice cream, because I'm in the freezer case right next to her, and I see what ice cream she's looking at, okay? And then I'm looking at her. I don't know if she noticed me. I'm sure she probably felt that I was looking at her. And I see the ice cream that she was grabbing. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not the ice creams that she needs to be eating. And I said something I probably shouldn't have said. I said, excuse me, ma'am, maybe you need to look at the fat-free. Maybe that's what... She didn't like it. She was I'm trying to help her. Why can't I be helpful? Maybe she needs...
You're trying to hit on her?
I'm trying.
Watch your mouth.
Trying to help her. I just want to be helpful. I'm just trying to offer some dietary suggestions. You know what I'm saying? I'm here for the ladies.
I've never attempted to hit on a woman at a grocery store. It seems like a terrible place.
God, no, it's not. A lot of times it can go one or two ways. When they're off guard and they're not expecting it, that sometimes doesn't work in your favor. Because what women are still perplexed by, why they're still confused by this, I have no idea. Oh, my hair wasn't done and my makeup wasn't done. I'm embarrassed on how I look. I don't want anybody to talk to me. But then when you get all tarted up, then you act like you too high and mighty. And plus, we like you to look natural because that is the version of you that we are going to get 99.9% of the time. When y'all get all thotted up, chances are you ain't getting thotted up for us. You getting thotted up to go out with your girlfriends. So when we see you and when we get you, it's sleep in your eye, hair ain't done, wig is crooked, makeup is all smeared. You know what I mean? I wanted to look at the woman in her natural state, not when she's all tarted up. And what's with the filters on all the photographs? I ain't seen an unfiltered photograph on a woman since 2012. You know damn well you don't have butterflies floating around your head when you're just walking around in the real world. It's insane to me. I don't put no filters on my pictures. This is how I look. You know
I
what I
always
mean?
tell women not to put filters on their stuff.
It reminds me of a black bald-head bedbug. You hear me? Slithering around trying to get some blood only at night, because you don't hear him at day.
Good use of that hotkey. That's like a 90-year-old woman. You know who she was talking about? Mayor Cavalier Johnson. Blew our minds when she said that. She said that. We were like, clip that? That was years ago, too. That lady wrote out a whole, like, I'm not kidding you. And she sent it to me in the mail. She wrote out a whole architectural schematic of what the Northridge Mall site should look like. She's like, here we'll have parking. Here we'll have a complex for a football stadium for youth football. Here we'll have retail. Here, I'm not kidding you. I fear she might be dead because she was old years ago.
How long ago was that?
Oh, heavens. What year is this? This is 26. Probably our first year here. Probably 2022.
Yeah, she's probably deceased.
Don't say that.
What's wrong with
Sherwin,
that?
I sent you my drawing to what they need to do for Northridge.
And then she got on the mayor. And that wasn't even all of what she said about the mayor. That's just the part that we clipped. All right, let's take a break, come back. You want to play any more music, Xavier? I'll let you play the last song.
Yeah, I got a little something special for you.
We're going to judge you.
That's fine.
All right.
I like being judged.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Milwaukee College Prep is redefining what's educationally possible so more children can pursue their dreams. Thursday, October 1st, join them at Venue 3 at 3rd Street Market Hall for Take a Stand, an inspiring event dedicated to closing the opportunity gap for Milwaukee scholars.
This sounds gay too. A little bit.
You think so?
It's a little too happy and upbeat. It's a little too.
He's talking about how he hates his girlfriend's friends.
I mean, it's not horrible. Y'all have to excuse me for a second. I'm sending a text message. Hey, y'all go ahead and carry on. I got to send this message. I don't want to put no typos. Go ahead, Xavier. You all be wanting to host the show. Host it. Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I don't really have anything to talk about today.
No. You already can't be a host. You have to always have something to talk about.
Oh, well, we can talk about the lady that tried to kill her 3 kids. They're delivering the final verdict, and the judge sat there in front of the congregation or the jury and said, keep an open mind while you're delivering this deliberation on this woman that killed her 3 kids. So I just wonder, if the person was black, would the judge have said that? Or, if the woman was black, would they have a whole, people with pink shirts out there and protesting for her? I find that very interesting. Don't you?
I do. And I don't want to turn a blind eye to mental health, whether it be maternal or paternal. But the way some people are siding with her because she did what she did to put a focus on postpartum depression and maternal mental health. I think they are missing the forest for the trees. 3 babies are dead. Those babies need justice. You can focus on maternal mental health a variety of different ways, but to get publicity like this, you must be punished for your crime. Then we can deal with maternal mental health. But to hold hostage the lives of your children, to focus on, she was very clear-headed in how she premeditated getting the husband out of the house. All of that was very well planned and thought out. And if you look at her internet search history, this woman knew what she was doing. And then the number of social media comments that are in support of this woman. I just saw one that was just shared with me via the TikTok, and a woman was walking past a wood chipper, and she had the baby Bjorn on. I already got to look at somebody sideways if you're wearing your baby on the front of your chest, especially if you're a man, but whatever. And this woman is walking past this damn wood chipper, and she was like, Mamas, tell me if you can relate. Have you ever just wanted to throw your baby in a wood chipper? It's not like I'd ever do it, but have you ever gotten that thought before? Immediately, whoever that woman has that child with, he needs to file for custody and placement of that baby because that baby is not safe. And she's literally just walking and smiling. And you know what kind of a woman it was.
Well, it was a white woman, obviously. It's very interesting how white women are, no matter what they do, they always become the victim somehow, no matter what they do. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw this past week, there was this 13-year-old kid that was playing football or whatever, and he tackled the girl's brother, and I guess they were, fighting a little bit after the play, and the 16-year-old girl comes on the field, spears the kid, pushes him down on the ground again, and, she is charged with aggravated assault, all this other stuff. And then the news comes and interviews the 16-year-old girl like she's the actual victim, even though she's the one that trespassed, attacked the kid, and all this stuff like that. I just find it very interesting. I mean, it's not very interesting. It's just the culture we live in. We live in a white supremacist society, obviously. I just think it's crazy how the white women are always the victim. Just like Shyla Hendricks, she calls a kid a nigger, and she gets $1 million for it.
All white women got to do is be sad, and they'll name a bill after her. Go in front of Congress and just shed a little tear. Oh, my God, we got to name a piece of legislation after this woman. I've also seen scenarios where a black man minding his own business. He ain't doing nothing but going home. He walking into his apartment building. He going home. He live in that same apartment building. White woman comes up. I've never seen you here. And some of those videos, I think those white women are actually flirting, though. But then she'll say something offensive like, I need to see your ID. I don't believe you live here. This man ain't say nothing to that woman. Here she is going out of her way to approach him. And I also find it kind of unusual that cameras are always rolling when this takes place. This white woman will come up to a black man, not bothering nobody, not saying nothing to nobody. He clearly has a key, or he's checking his mail. He's checking his mail in the little lobby area inside those first doors. Here come this white woman. I'm afraid of you. You came up to him.
I think those women are the women, 40, 50 years ago that would just randomly accuse a black man of raping them, It was interesting, I studied, African-American history in college and stuff like that. And one of my professors, he was from Kentucky back in the day, and he was telling a story about how he, was walking down the street one time. He was a little boy, and this white woman just yelled to him, "Hey, look here, boys!" And she just flashed her, her boobs to him and his uncle, and his uncle covered his eyes because he knew what was going to happen if they did look at that woman. They would have been, basically lynched for no reason.
That's not fair to do that. If you're gonna show me, I'm cheating on myself if I don't look. You know what I mean?
I mean, not back then. I don't know. 1940s.
But they'll approach a black person that's minding their own business. Man, I'm afraid of you. If I see a damn lion